Hello, hello. Welcome for this week's installment. Today I'm going to be telling spooky stories, paranormal stories that have happened that are real, that have happened to me over the last, well, forever. Actually, I've got quite a few, but today I'm only sharing three. So hang on. If you don't know me, if you're new to me, I'm Condi Bartlett. I am a manifestation expert, a master mindset coach, and a modern mystic, helping people define and manifest their dreams. I'm obsessed with helping you achieve everything you thought was impossible. And if you're looking to massively uplevel your life, your finances, your relationships, and your success, then you're in the right place. So, my goal is to help you see the infinite potential within yourself and to see the possibilities that are open to you and help you manifest your heart's desire. So, today I am sharing spooky stories because I'm not feeling so good and I thought that would be easy. um, so if I'm a little bit low energy, that's why. But anyways, if you're here live, let me know that you're here. If you've got questions along the way, please drop them in the comments. And I forgot to grab my phone, so hopefully I can see the comments here. If you haven't already, at some point, click the link above that says Facebook / I can't even talk / StreamYard. It lets me see your name in the comments. So just say hello because I'd like to say hello back and welcome you. So let's dive in, okay? The first story that I'm going to tell is titled Dad Brings a Message from the Grave. I know I tried to pick spooky titles. It is sort of spooky if you're not used to it, I guess. But to me, it's I guess not spooky. It's normal. I'm not normal, I guess, which is a good thing. So I'm going to tell this story, and it really begins with the death of my dad in my 20s, and I was absolutely devastated. I was really close to my dad, and I could not imagine life without. Someone says, and happy birthday. My boyfriend is listening too. Thank you. That must be Poppy. Anyways, thank you. Thank you. And my birthday was last week, and I got to achieve the big 6-0 and had a wonderful, wonderful birthday celebration, many of them throughout the whole week, and was spoiled rotten by my family and my friends, and just had a wonderful week. So thank you guys also for all your birthday wishes that you shared with me on Facebook. I love, love, love it. And it just made me feel so loved and blessed and adored. So thank you. But back to my story. My dad died, and I remember talking to him like the night before because he wasn't feeling well. And my dad, I have to preface it with this, my dad was 50 when I was born. So he was a lot older. Somebody else is wishing me a happy belated birthday blessing. Thank you. So he was a lot older. And I thought he would last a lot longer. And I remember talking to him that night, and he assured me I'm going to be around for a long time. He just didn't mean in the physical form, right? He's like, I'm going to be okay. And I'm like, okay. The next day I get the call from my mom, and I just knew, because that's the kind of person I am intuitively. I just knew. And the minute my husband answered the phone, I ran out of the house and I just started sobbing. And sorry, it makes me a little verklempt still because I miss him every friggin' day. Even though he's here with me, even though he works with me every day, it's not the same at all. So the blessing in this whole thing, when I lost my dad, was I gained a new sister that I had never met before. My dad had had another family, and we had never met this sister because it was a big secret that my dad was Black. And I didn't know until he passed. I know this is a whole nother story. I'm going to try to keep it like compressed. So I met my sister for the first time in the airport, and I looked into her eyes, and she had my dad's eyes. And it just was an amazing kind of confirmation and a relaxation for me. I just was like, oh, he's still here, and I got this new sister that I absolutely adored and loved. And that week we spent together with her, and we did some unusual things. We built a coffin for my dad. My mother taught us how to do upholstery. So my sisters and I upholstered a coffin that my brother made specifically for my dad. And then we brought him home from the mortuary to our home. and had a service and then took him back to the burial site. Now, one of these mornings when we had all these projects that we were doing, getting ready to, receive guests and have the service in our home. We were all having breakfast around the table and we were all just tired. We were exhausted from the grief and the shock. But more than that, we had all been waking up at 4 a.m. for over a month. And it didn't come out until I'm like, I just can't sleep well. I keep waking up at 4 o'clock. And around the table, everybody kept saying that same thing. And I realized that through this, even my sister that I hadn't even ever met was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning before my dad passed. And I know that now that was my grandmother coming and kind of ringing, knocking on the door. Hey, something's up. But at any rate, so we had the funeral. And again, I was absolutely just in a mortified state. I've never been so sad in my life. And I remember leaving the funeral and going home and just feeling exhausted. And went to bed that night and I had the most beautiful dream. It was this lucid dream of dancing with my dad and dancing to the songs that he loved, the Mills Brothers and I can't think of Nat King Cole and all these other. We were just dancing and we were embracing and he was telling me how much he loved me. And then he said, "There's something I've got to tell you." And I'm like, "What?" And he said, I've hidden some money in the house and it's behind the piano and it'll tide your mom over for a little while. And I'm like, "Okay." And so I felt really good about that dream. It just felt incredibly tangible, incredibly real, because it was. And I woke up that morning, and when I went to my mom's house and all my siblings were there, I said, "Hey, Dad came to me in a dream last night, and he said that there's money behind the piano." Well, the thing was, in that home, my mom had put like a fake wall in between the dining room and the living room and put a piano up against that wall. And then there was a dining room on the other side. And so we pulled away the piano, we pulled away the wall, and sure enough, behind his workbench, because he was a watchmaker, he had a little workbench. He had like put this bag of money behind the watch bench that he had. And there we go. Message received and delivered. And my mom was so happy that this message had come through from the other side. And it was just one of the first that came through. He still visits me in dream state and we visit together. And like I said, he works with me. He's one of the many divine spirits that I work with in my work. So that's story number one. I hope you enjoyed it. It wasn't really as spooky as it kind of the title, but it was a good story. Did you guys enjoy that? I hope you did. And then the next story that I want to share is something that I never talk about, hardly ever talk about, because it's something I don't really want to be known for. And you're going to say, what is it? So the next story is about this Ouija board and how it invited an unwanted guest that wouldn't leave. And it starts with a friend of mine who then became a client. And we were meeting for tea, and all of a sudden I got this message that she was hosting. That's what I like to call it because it sounds kind of elegant, it sounds kind of easy and fun, but really what it is you're possessed. And so for me, it's not a scary thing. I know for a lot of people, it's a really scary thing. This is not the first story I could share about this. I mean, I probably have 10 others, so or more. But this particular person, I said, "You're hosting," and she says, "Yeah, I know. I remember when it happened." And so probably more than anything else, nobody ever says that to you when you're hosting. So you kind of go undetected. But she was living a life in misery. What happened was when she was 16, she told me the story. When she was 16, she and a bunch of girlfriends got a Ouija board and they were playing around. And she remembers what happened. It was her turn. She took the little peg. It started jigging around. And then all of a sudden, it just was like a shot went through her. And she could feel it physically creeping in. And it stayed. She was probably like 35 or 40 when I was talking to her. So this thing had been living inside her for years. And every day it would yell at her. It would say, kill yourself. Use that knife over there. Go kill yourself. Right? This was not a friendly thing. And let me explain about this hosting thing, because it's not as, it happens more often than we would like to think. And it's not always like demonic possession, like, in The Exorcist kind of thing or something. But yeah, I've seen that too. But this was just kind of like somebody that was like houseless and was looking for a place to stay. I was like, oh, you're not using this. It's kind of like being a spiritual Airbnb, I call it. And so they're like, you got plenty of room in there. Let me in, right? This often happens. It's kind of like a lighthouse moment when we're more susceptible, when we're going through a depression, or we're having a lot of stress, or we're having a lot of anxiety. We're more prone to this kind of thing. And so this being saw an opening and took it and just dove right in there. So I remember when I first I just have a natural ability to clear things. This is one of the things I can clear: spaces, people, places, things. So I remember getting into that clearing process, and this person, being, whatever spirit, did not want to leave. And it was like really pretty adamant. It's like, this is my place. You're going to leave. I'm like, no, I'm not leaving. You're leaving. And so I remember clearing it. But then for days, I could feel it hanging around this person. And I said, please don't let your guard down. Keep your vibes high. Keep yourself in alignment, because it's looking for a little chink in the armor to get back in. And sure enough, it happened. Some devastating day, something happened. She was upset. Boom, back in. And again, I went in and I said, get out. And they're like, no, this is my home. This is where I belong. This is a great place for me to be. Right? And when you have something like that, its main goal is to keep you in a state of chaos, of emotional chaos, so that it has a continuous place to live, right? If you're in a high vibe aligned place, it does not want to stay in that vibration, right? So again, I went in, I said, nope, this is your eviction notice, you're done, out. And then it got permanently removed, right? I could tell story after story after story. In fact, I've got one more if you guys want to hear it. Let me know in the comments. Just give me a yes or say yes. This is a little bit creepy, I have to say. So this sometimes happens, and I don't let it go unsaid. When I get this, I'm getting a yes, okay, great. So this story, I was meeting somebody for coffee. Over in networking coffee. And again, I get this little ping that says, oh, this lady's hosting, right? Again, I say to her, I don't know how to frame this. I'm not sure how you're going to take this. This is what I intuit about you. And she says, yes, matter of factly, yeah. Remember when it happened. Again, it's like they remember when it happened. So, sorry. I told you I'm not really feeling 100% today. My nose is going in overdrive. So anyway, she said, yes, I remember when it happened. She apparently was a missionary traveling through Russia with her dad. And they were like in some kind of like marketplace or something, like an opening with a lot of vendors and things like that. And she remembers kind of going through this marketplace, and there was this little girl that came up to her. And the little girl looked at her and grabbed her hand. And I don't think she could speak any English, but she grabbed her hand really tightly. And as she looked into this little girl's eyes, her eyes went black, right? Her eyes just like whoosh, black all inside, right? And it was from then on that she had this thing that she was hosting, right? That caused a lot of internal chaos and anxiety and fear. And so she never really felt safe again after that. And so when I said this to her over coffee, she just was kind of like shocked. Number one, that I could see it. And I said to her, I'm like, can I just clear this? Because I don't want to continue having coffee with this thing. Right? So she's like, sure. And so that minute, I just like, and it's pretty much instantaneous. I just go in, I have this little conversation. I say, you got to go now. Out you go, poppity pop. And sure enough, out. And again, she could just feel like this light moving through her and up through her head. And it was like this huge sigh of relief came over her. So I'm always checking when I'm working with people, whether they're hosting. Sometimes they're not hosting. But for instance, I had another client who was living in a haunted house and was feeling great about it. She's like, oh yeah, moved into this haunted house. Turned out the person who committed suicide in this house, and he's our friendly ghost. Well, it turned out he was not a friendly ghost, and he was causing all kinds of chaos, and he was having little conversations with their kids, right? And then he invited more not so friendly ghosts into the house. And I said, no, this has got to go. This is not a friendly situation. And it's starting to affect your children. And I said, all of them have to go. And so again, bibbity bap, gone, right? House cleared, no more action. So again, I don't talk about this a lot because I'm like afraid I'm going to have this long string of people calling me up, like, help me out. I've got this voice in my head. I can't think, and it won't let me sleep at night, whatever. Anyways, it is just part of the service that I provide for my clients. And it's one of the natural abilities that I have. I have these kind of supernatural gifts. Like I said, I'm not anywhere near normal. That just proves it right there. So anyways, I hope I didn't creep you out too much, but the thing is to know about this, the takeaway that I would love you to hear is this doesn't have to be permanent. If you live in a haunted house, for instance, it can get cleared. Like I see all these ghost shows on TV, and there was like one with William Shatner. He's like, oh, this is the most evil place on, wherever. And it's always going to be bad. Well, that's not necessarily true. It can't get cleared, but then it would probably wreck the whole ghost hunting industry. So I'm holding back on that. So, anyways, the very last story that I have for this Halloween edition has to do with past lives, because a lot of people are like, "Is this it? Is this the end? When the lights go out, is that all there is?" No, it's not. We're spirit. And we continue to evolve and move and go throughout many incarnations. And throughout my work doing this for the past 13 years, I've worked with a lot of different sages and mystics and healers. And through that, I've had some really interesting experiences as far as past lives and kind of reliving them, but not in a way where I can feel like the emotion of it or the impact of it, like it's a trauma. I don't have, that's kind of removed. It's just like kind of watching a movie, like it's happening to somebody else, but I know it's me, right? So like I'll just give you, if you guys want to hear about it, I've got at least 5 different ones that have come up over the last 13 years that I know for certain are the real deal. The most recent one, I'll tell you. You can give me a yes in the comments if you're still here. Oh, what? Here's a note. My dad told me good game bad when I got him on. My dad told me game bad when I got him on the Ouija board. Yeah. What they say about the Ouija boards is true. Do not use them. I guess I should have said that. Don't use a Ouija board because it's like a vortex. It's just like open to whatever can come through. It's like just leaving your front door open. Would you ever do that and go to bed? No, you wouldn't. Also, pendulums can be a vortex like that. And so you have to really know how to use them because you can just get advice and information from all sorts of beings. Plus, they can just kind of come into your space and wreak havoc. Nobody wants that. So back to past lives. So the most recent one, I've been working with a shaman here in Portland who's amazing. And he was doing some energetic work on me. And I had this flashback where we both had been in a past life together in a Mayan setting where he actually was like the priest who like used me as a sacrifice and like took the heart out of my chest. That was really profound. That was really interesting. And again, it wasn't scary because there wasn't any emotion attached to it. Like it was just like this movie, a vision playing in my head. And then I've had ones where I've been burnt at the stake. No surprise there because I keep showing up in all these incarnations like, hey, I'm here, let me help. And was not too well received by the villagers who had stakes and torches and pitchforks and some rope or fire matches. I don't know. So there was a lot of different places where I showed up and was not really well received and was drowned or hung or burnt up. But there's one in particular that I remember when I was working with a lady that did past life regression. And it was actually being a slave and being strangled, killed by my master because I was accused of stealing a necklace that was misplaced by his wife. Right? That's a bad way to go down. What else? I've had a flashback or a vision of like being an Egyptian priestess. I've been around. Don't let that get out. And also a soldier in the Civil War who was like drowned in a stream, killed actually, like snuffed out. Somebody says, "Oh, I was burnt at the stake too." It's not that uncommon for people who are of the same ilk that are like thought leaders who are healers. We've been in a lot of incarnations where we weren't really well received. Now, actually, is the best time in history to show up and do what we do, to be incredibly woo-woo, to tell these kinds of stories because people are interested. People want to know that there's something beyond this physical life, right? That yes, we can talk to people who have passed. And yes, I've seen ghosts. I've heard them. they've done all sorts of trickery on me, flipping the lights off and on in my bedroom and knocking on the door and rattling doorknobs. And sometimes it's a little bit scary, but I think for the most part, when I'm working and spirits talking to me, that's not scary. That's actually very fulfilling. And it makes me feel like this overwhelming sense of unconditional love. And I just feel like source energy streaming through me to the person that I'm talking to. And a lot of times they're giving direct advice about what has to change and how people can look at things differently in order for that to happen, and how they can actually become who they were born to be, right? Without all of the barriers and all of the beliefs that they took on from their parents or their peers or the wherevers. So that's my story time for Halloween. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please just drop them in the comments. Check in the comments here. I think I've got everything. Oh, Lizzie's here. Hello. Everybody else, I can't see their Facebook username. I'm sorry. But that's my installment for today. I am going to go get my pajamas on and rest up the rest of the day and get over this terrible virus I've got. Next time we need to do this round a campfire, with a warm drink and a flash. I was going to do a flashlight on my face, but I thought that would really be too creepy. Pamela, hello. Awesome. All right. Well, I am going to close out for now. I do want to invite you, if you've never had a 20-minute connection call with me, I'll tell you what it is really quickly. It's free. It's 20 minutes with me. And you can, oh, Nay, hi. My sister. I can't tell it was you. I will feel better. I love you too. So a connection call is basically 20 minutes with me. It's free. We talk about what you're trying to manifest. What's your heart's desire? What's been in your way up until now? What you've tried. And then I give you your next steps to actually manifest it. For a lot of people, that's all they want. And they go on their merry way and they go manifest it. For some people, they would like more help. They would like guidance. They'd like a process to take them through and actually manifest this thing and like blow up all those barriers and challenges that they've been dealing with for years, right? So, and if that's you, and if we're a fit, I'm going to invite you to work with me. And you can say no. Because there's never any pressure to work with me. When you're ready, I'm ready. And so there's a link above this video if that sounds interesting to you, if you'd like to know what your next steps to manifesting your heart's desire. That's business, that's personal, that's relationships, it's money, it's the whole enchilada. So that's it. Lizzie says, what? It's such a lovely process. Love Condi time. I love you too, Lizzie. Thank you. It is. It's actually a fun process that I take people through, and it's really easy, and we release things really quickly. So thank you guys for being here and showing up live with me. And if you're on the replay, thank you for watching the replay. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to answer any questions about the paranormal, about hosting, about ghosts, and about manifesting. So I'll see you again next week. Take care and happy manifesting. Bye, y'all.